Welcome back to CoinQuest. Today, we're going to dive deep into one of the most interesting and iconic coins in American history, the 1973 Abraham Lincoln 1-cent penny. Now, this coin may seem like just a simple, everyday penny to most people, but if you're a collector, a numismatist, or just someone curious about rare and valuable coins, you might be surprised at how much the 1973 penny can be worth. Stick around because we're going to cover everything from the history of the coin to its current market value, and why it could potentially be worth a lot more than just 1 cent. First off, let's take a quick look at the history of the Lincoln penny itself. The Abraham Lincoln 1-cent coin, commonly known as the Lincoln penny, was first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. The coin features a portrait of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, and since its inception, it has undergone various design changes. One of the most notable changes was in 1959, when the reverse side of the coin was redesigned to depict the Lincoln Memorial. This design remained until 2009, when the U.S. Mint introduced a series of 4 new reverse designs to mark the 200th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. But let's zoom in on the 1973 penny in particular. The 1973 penny, like many others of its time, features the standard Lincoln Memorial reverse design. The obverse features a portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner, which has remained largely unchanged for over a century. The 1973 penny is made from a copper-coated zinc composition, which was the standard material used for pennies for many decades. The weight of the penny is 2.5 grams, and it has a diameter of 19.05 millimeters, making it roughly the size of a typical modern penny. Now, let's talk about the value and worth of the 1973 penny. As with most coins, the value of the 1973 penny depends on a few factors: its condition, rarity, and demand. Most of the 1973 pennies that are found today are very common, and in average circulation condition, they are worth exactly 1 cent. So if you're holding on to a 1973 penny in average condition, don't expect to get rich from it. However, the story doesn't end there. Some rare varieties of the 1973 penny can be worth much more, and this is where things get really interesting. The most valuable 1973 pennies are those with rare minting errors. For example, a 1973 penny with a double die error could be worth much more than a regular penny. A double die error occurs when the coin is struck by the die more than once, creating a doubled image. This can result in the details of the coin, especially the lettering or numbers, appearing thicker or slightly misaligned. These types of errors are highly sought after by collectors, and they can significantly increase the value of the coin. Another variety to look out for is the 1973 penny with the S Mint mark. This was the San Francisco minting, and while most 1973 pennies were minted in Philadelphia, the ones struck in San Francisco are less common. If you happen to come across a 1973 penny with an S Mint mark in good condition, it could fetch a higher price in the collector's market, but it doesn't end there. The condition of the coin also plays a major role in determining its value. Coins that are in mint or near mint condition, with little to no wear and tear, can be worth more than those that are heavily worn or damaged. Collectors place a premium on coins that look as though they just came out of the mint, so if your 1973 penny is in pristine condition, it could be worth more than a typical circulated coin. Coins are graded on a scale from poor to mint state, and the higher the grade, the more valuable the coin. A 1973 penny in excellent condition, say with a grade of MS65 or higher, could fetch a much higher price than one that's been worn down by time. And USE.SO, what is the current market value of the 1973 penny? Well, as I mentioned earlier, most 1973 pennies are worth exactly 1 cent in their typical circulated condition. However, if you have one of the rarer varieties or one in excellent condition, it could be worth anywhere from a few dollars to several $100s, depending on the specific coin. Coins with minting errors, especially double die errors, have been known to sell for upwards of $100 or more, depending on the severity of the error and the condition of the coin. In some rare cases, a 1973 penny could even fetch thousands of dollars, but these instances are extremely rare and usually involve very specific circumstances, like an error coin that has been verified and authenticated by a professional grading service. The demand for error coins, especially those with double die or other unique features, has been growing among collectors, which only increases their potential value. If you think you've got a 1973 penny that might be worth more than face value, it's always a good idea to have it evaluated by a professional coin grader or numismatist. They can help you determine its condition, any potential minting errors, and its market value. If you're looking to sell or auction your penny, these professionals can also help you get the best price. As we wrap up, it's clear that the 1973 Abraham Lincoln penny may seem like just a simple coin at first glance, but if you dig a little deeper, you might find that it holds some surprising value. Whether it's a rare minting error, an S-mint mark, or just an excellent condition coin, the 1973 penny could be worth more than you think. So keep an eye on your pocket change, because you never know what kind of hidden treasure you might find. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more videos about rare coins, coin collecting tips, and other fascinating numismatic topics. And if you have any 1973 pennies or other interesting coins, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear about your experiences and what you've found. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video, where we're going to dive into one of the most iconic and well-known coins in American history, the 1977 Abraham Lincoln 1-cent penny coin. Now, pennies are often overlooked by many people, but this particular coin holds a significant place in numismatic history, and believe it or not, it can be worth quite a bit of money depending on certain factors. So sit tight as we explore the history, the value, and the current market worth of the 1977 Lincoln penny. The Lincoln penny was first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the centennial of President Abraham Lincoln's birth. It features the likeness of Lincoln on the obverse, designed by sculptor Victor David Brenner. On the reverse, there's the traditional shield or the wheat ears, depending on the year. The 1977 penny, like most pennies of that era, features the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, which was introduced in 1959 and lasted until 2008, when it was replaced with the shield design. But what makes the 1977 penny stand out? Well, unlike some other years that might have had special variations or mints, the 1977 penny doesn't have any major design changes, but it's still a crucial part of coin collecting and can be valuable under the right conditions. One of the first things to consider when determining the value of any coin is its condition, and the 1977 penny is no exception. Coins in better condition, particularly those with little to no wear, will naturally be worth more than those that have been heavily circulated or damaged over time. If you're lucky enough to find a 1977 Lincoln penny in excellent, uncirculated condition, it could be worth more than its face value. While a penny might only be worth 1 cent in average condition, an uncirculated 1977 penny could be worth anywhere from 5 to 10 cents or even more, depending on its quality. However, it's the rare varieties and certain coin errors that really catch the eye of collectors and numismatists. For example, there have been some reports of 1977 pennies that show unusual die errors or minting anomalies, which can increase their value significantly. A rare error or a coin in mint condition with a unique feature could see its value rise, even into the hundreds of dollars in some cases. The most common errors found on pennies are things like double strikes, misalignments, or off-center strikes. If your 1977 penny has any of these characteristics, it could be worth significantly more than the standard market value. But the 1977 penny isn't necessarily all about the errors. The specific coin varieties, especially those with unique characteristics or different mint marks, are also crucial when determining their value. One thing that influences the value of these pennies is where they were minted. There are three main mints in the U.S. the Philadelphia Mint, the Denver Mint, and the San Francisco Mint. The 1977 penny was primarily minted at the Philadelphia and Denver mints, so if you have a 1977 penny with a D mint mark, it was made in Denver. If it has no mint mark, then it was made in Philadelphia. While these mint mark differences usually don't lead to a massive increase in value, it can influence the price for collectors who are trying to complete their collections. It's also important to note that the 1977 penny was struck in copper, as pennies were made from copper until 1982, when the composition changed to a copper-plated zinc mix. The value of the 1977 penny in terms of its metal content is also something to consider, though it's not typically a major factor in numismatics. However, if you have a large quantity of 1977 pennies, their copper content could be worth more than their face value if you were to melt them down, though doing so would be illegal due to U.S. laws protecting coins. Now, let's talk about the current market value of the 1977 Lincoln penny. As of now, a typical 1977 penny in circulated condition is worth about 1 cent, as it's still considered regular currency. However, as I mentioned earlier, condition is key. If you have an uncirculated 1977 penny, it might fetch anywhere from 5 to 10 cents, depending on its grade. If the coin is in mint state or has a notable error, it could go for much more. For example, a 1977 penny with a well-known double die error or another major mistake could potentially bring in hundreds of dollars at auction. However, these instances are rare, and most 1977 pennies will not see these extreme values. If you're looking to buy or sell a 1977 penny, the value can vary based on the current demand, which fluctuates over time. Generally, collectors and coin enthusiasts keep a close eye on rare finds, and if you happen to have a 1977 penny with a unique feature, you might want to get it appraised by a professional numismatist to see just how much it's worth in today's market. So, to sum it up, while the 1977 Lincoln penny might not seem like it's worth a lot at first glance, its value can change dramatically depending on its condition, the presence of any minting errors, and other factors like its mint mark or rarity. While most will be worth just a few cents, those in exceptional condition or with special errors could bring in hundreds of dollars. If you have a 1977 penny or any other rare coin, it's always a good idea to have it evaluated by an expert, especially if you believe it might be worth more than face value. Whether you're a seasoned collector or someone just starting to explore the world of numismatics, coins like the 1977 penny show us that even the smallest items can hold significant historical and financial value. Thanks for watching this video, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more great coin-related content. Let us know in the comments if you've ever found a rare coin, and be sure to check out our other videos on coin collecting and numismatics. Until next time, happy collecting! Today, we have an exciting topic to talk about: the 1992 one-cent penny, featuring none other than President Abraham Lincoln. You might be thinking, it's just a penny. How much could it really be worth? Well, you might be surprised. Let's dive deep into the history, significance, and potential value of the 1992 Lincoln penny. The penny has been a staple of U.S. currency for more than 2 centuries. Introduced in 1793, it's one of the oldest coins in circulation. Over the years, the design of the penny has changed several times, but one of the most enduring features is the portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, which has been on the coin since 1909. That's right, the Lincoln penny has been around for over a century. And now, In 1992, we see a particularly unique set of pennies that stands out for several reasons. Before we get into the specifics of the 1992 penny, let's talk about Abraham Lincoln for a moment. Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, is one of the most influential figures in American history. He led the nation through its Civil War, abolished slavery, and gave one of the most famous speeches ever, the Gettysburg Address. His legacy is etched into every penny minted with his image, a daily reminder of the enduring principles he stood for. Now, let's fast forward to 1992. The U.S. Mint was still producing pennies, with the familiar image of Lincoln's bust on the obverse, and the reverse still featured the iconic wheat ears design. But what made 1992 significant in terms of the penny's history is that it was part of the transition era of coin production. In 1992, there was a shift in how the U.S. Mint produced coins, which means that there were subtle variations in the quality and characteristics of these pennies. In particular, 1992 marked the end of a series of pennies minted with a specific composition, which had a direct effect on their value. As for the composition, the 1992 Lincoln pennies were made primarily of copper-plated zinc, which is a departure from the older pennies that were solid copper. This change was made due to the rising cost of copper, and it caused a shift in the overall market value of these pennies. The zinc penny, while cheaper to produce, has a different look and feel than the copper ones. So, does that make the 1992 penny rare or valuable? The short answer is, it depends. Most of the 1992 pennies in circulation are not worth much more than their face value of 1 cent. However, there are exceptions. You see, in 1992, some pennies were struck with a rare minting error that makes them highly sought after by collectors. For example, there are known instances of 1992 pennies that were mistakenly struck with a D mint mark for Denver on the obverse, while the reverse was intended to be for the P mint mark, Philadelphia. This error, known as the 1992 D-close AM variety, is one of the most notable and sought-after error coins from that year. If you happen to come across one of these rare varieties, you could be looking at a penny that is worth hundreds, even thousands of dollars. But what about the more common 1992 pennies? Well, they can still hold value for collectors, but they aren't likely to be worth more than a few cents above face value. However, if you have a well-preserved penny, it could fetch a little extra if it's in great condition. Pennies that are uncirculated or have a grade of MS65 or higher might be worth a bit more to collectors. So, what's the current market value of a 1992 penny? Well, as I mentioned earlier, the average 1992 penny is only worth 1 cent. But if you're lucky enough to find a rare minting error, such as the 1992 D-close AM penny, you could be looking at a coin worth anywhere from $100 to $1,000, depending on its condition and demand from collectors. The most valuable 1992 penny, as of now, is one of the 1992 D-close AM varieties, which has been known to sell for up to $10,000 in some cases, though these are extremely rare. Now, how do you tell if your 1992 penny is one of these rare error coins? First, you'll want to closely examine the reverse side of the penny. Look at the letters A and M in the word America. On regular 1992 pennies, there should be a noticeable gap between these letters. But on the rare close AM variety, the letters are closer together. That's the key difference. The error occurs when the die used to strike the coin was misaligned, causing the two letters to overlap, which results in a close appearance. If you believe you have a 1992 close AM penny, you should get it professionally graded by a reputable coin grading service like the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, or Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, NGC. A certified coin can help boost its value and ensure that it is genuine, as there are many counterfeits and altered coins out there. In conclusion, while the 1992 penny may seem like just another coin, it carries with it a rich history and the potential for significant value, especially if you're lucky enough to find a rare error variety. So, the next time you're going through your change, keep an eye out for that 1992 penny. It could be worth more than you think. Thanks for watching this video on the history and value of the 1992 Lincoln penny. If you enjoyed it, make sure to give us a thumbs up, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel for more great coin content. And remember, always check your change. You never know what hidden treasures might be waiting in your pocket. Today's video. In this episode, we're diving into an interesting topic for coin collectors, history enthusiasts, and anyone curious about the world of numismatics. Today, we're focusing on the 2008 Abraham Lincoln 1-cent penny, a coin that has captured the interest of many because of its historical significance, its design, and its potential value. We'll explore its history, what makes it special, and whether it's worth more than its face value today. Let's take a closer look at the 2008 Lincoln penny. Now, when we talk about coins, it's always important to start with the history, and the Abraham Lincoln 1-cent penny is no exception. The U.S. 1-cent coin, commonly known as the penny, has been in circulation since 1793. Over the years, it has undergone several design changes, and it's always been a reflection of the history and values of the country. In 2008, the U.S. Mint issued a special series of pennies to commemorate the bicentennial of Abraham Lincoln's birth. This series featured 4 different designs, each representing a different stage in Lincoln's life. The designs were issued over the course of the year, with each one reflecting a significant part of Lincoln's journey. So, why was the U.S. Mint so focused on Abraham Lincoln in 2008? Well, it was the 200th anniversary of his birth, and the Mint wanted to honor the legacy of one of America's most beloved and transformative presidents. Abraham Lincoln's contributions to the country are immense, from his leadership during the Civil War to his efforts to end slavery with the Emancipation Proclamation. His image is iconic, and it only made sense that the U.S. Mint would create a special series of pennies to commemorate his life. In 2008, there were 4 distinct designs created for the penny. The first design, which was released in February, features a portrait of Lincoln in his younger years, before he became president. This image reflects his early life in Kentucky and Indiana. The second design, released in May, shows Lincoln as a young man reading a book. This design symbolizes his self-education and his commitment to knowledge, which would later influence his decisions as president. The third design, which came out in August, portrays Lincoln standing in front of the Illinois State House. This design marks his years as a lawyer and politician in Springfield, Illinois, before he became president. Finally, the fourth design, released in November, shows a mature Lincoln in his presidential years, capturing his leadership during the Civil War. Now, let's talk about the value of these pennies. When we look at the 2008 Abraham Lincoln pennies, it's important to note that these are not necessarily rare coins. The U.S. Mint produced billions of them in 2008, so they are relatively common. In fact, the face value of these pennies is, of course, 1 cent. However, there are factors that can increase their value beyond face value, especially for collectors. The condition of the coin plays a huge role in determining its value. If the penny is in mint condition, with no signs of wear and tear, it can be worth more than just 1 cent. In the world of numismatics, a coin's grade is a critical factor. Coins that are graded as uncirculated or proof tend to fetch higher prices because they were carefully minted and have minimal damage. If you happen to have one of the 2008 Lincoln pennies that has been kept in perfect condition, it could be worth a little more than its face value, but the value will likely be modest, generally between 50 cents and a few dollars. However, there are certain 2008 Lincoln pennies that could be worth significantly more. For example, Some coins from this year have been struck on incorrect planchets or have other errors in their design. These types of error coins are highly sought after by collectors, and they can fetch a substantial amount of money at auction. For instance, a 2008 penny with a misaligned die or a double strike could be worth anywhere from $50 to several $100s, depending on the rarity and the condition of the coin. Another aspect to consider is the role of rarity. While most of the 2008 Lincoln pennies are not rare, certain variations and error coins are harder to find, and they could be worth more. For example, a penny that was struck in a different metal or one that was produced in a low quantity could be highly valuable to the right collector. As with any coin, the more rare and unique it is, the more valuable it becomes in the market.as of the current market. The value of the 2008 Abraham Lincoln penny largely depends on the specific coin and its condition. Standard circulation coins in average condition are still worth just 1 cent. But if you have an error coin or one in mint condition, the value could go up significantly. If you're lucky enough to find an error coin, such as one with a misprint, a missing detail, or a different type of metal, you could potentially sell it for a few $100s. But remember, coins are only worth what someone is willing to pay for them, so the market value can fluctuate. In terms of the broader market for these coins, they're not exactly a get-rich-quick investment, but they can be a fun and rewarding hobby for collectors. If you enjoy searching through your change or picking up coins from coin shops or online auction sites, you may just come across a rare find that could end up being worth more than you think. As we wrap up, it's important to remember that the 2008 Abraham Lincoln 1-cent penny is more than just a coin. It's a piece of American history. It commemorates one of the most influential figures in U.S. history, and its design celebrates his life and legacy in a very unique way. Whether or not your 2008 Lincoln penny is worth more than its face value depends on its condition and any potential errors, but no matter its worth, it's a reminder of Lincoln's remarkable contributions to the nation. If you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with others who might be interested in learning more about coins and their value. Be sure to leave a comment down below if you've ever found any interesting or rare coins in your own collection, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.